Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
He's the expert, and me, well, I'm just here to glam it up a bit.
Is that what you are?
Yeah.
I thought it was to raise the average age.
Anyway, let's continue, shall we? In this podcast, we're talking about breakdown in Europe and the UK with RAC arrival. Matt's had a lot of dealings with that particular rescue service, and we also thought it would be a good idea for a bit of balance, as we've interviewed the president of the AA, to have the RAC on as well. So stand by for that. Some good reveals coming up in this one. Let's delve into the news first of all then, shall we, Matt? Camper vans are no longer welcome at a popular Mumbles car park. The Mumbles is in Wales, isn't it? And beauty spot. Swansea Council has introduced height restriction measures to limit the size of vehicles able to park at Nab Rock car park.
Yeah, have you ever been there?
I've never been there. Is it picturesque?
It's very picturesque. Yeah, it's a lovely part of the world. In fact, we often stop at Mumbles and then carry on a bit further on into Carmarthenshire. But yeah, they put this height restriction on. You can't go in there anymore. The locals did protest about it. It's been overturned. So the height restriction is staying. So if you're going to the Mumbles and planning to go to Nab Rock car park, you won't be going in your motorhome. Sorry.
What is it? I mean, why can't we just have a middle ground? I mean, you know, people don't like too many motorhomes in car parks, so they just ban them all. You know, is there not an easier, a better way of doing this sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a time restraint on how long you can park there, maybe.
Or book a space. You have to book a space, and then when they're full, nobody else can come in.
Well, yeah, maybe. That just sounds complicated.
Yeah, well, it's no more complicated than driving around for another hour looking for somewhere to park.
I suppose not. Yeah, that's very true. Maybe people have been staying there overnight. I don't know. People don't like it, but it smells a little bit of NIMBY to me. Not in my backyard.
Yes.
Maybe that's unfair. But anyway, it's a shame. It's a beautiful spot. So you can go in the car, but not in your motorhome.
No, one fewer place to park in a motorhome. John Gooch and Shepton Mallet Show. Tell me all about that.
So John from the YouTube channel Life Beyond Bricks, and John and I are doing a presentation together at the Southwest Motorhome and Campervan Show at the Royal Bath and West Showground on September the 9th at 2:30. This is going to be a big session on the transition from diesel to electric. So we're very much future gazing, and we want your contribution. So if you can come along and join us on that Saturday afternoon, it will be a big discussion session, I think. And what we're trying to do really is pull together concerns and questions from you, our listeners, and people who have a motorhome. And we're going to continue campaigning for our little corner of the world to the EV marketplace over the coming years as we transition into an electric motorhome world, which, you know, inevitably will come. So if you can't make it, but you'd like to contribute to this session, John and I would love to hear from you. You can go to motorhomematt.co.uk/ask Matt. You can submit a form with your question, or you can record it and we can feature it in a future podcast as an audio play out as well. Please tell us where you are in the country. It'd be lovely to know. But if you can come, Saturday the 9th at 2:30 p.m, we're in the presentation theatre at the Shepton Mallet Show, as we love to call it locally.
And if you're coming along, there's a little code to save you some money, isn't there?
There is, yeah. If you use the code MotorhomeMatt, you can get a few pence off your ticket. So if you've not yet bought a day ticket, then go to their website, outandaboutlive.co.uk/shows. Click on the Shepton Mallet Show. It's called the Southwest Motorhome Campervan Show, and you can get your tickets there. Use the code MotorhomeMatt, save a few pence.
And the big show at the NEC in Birmingham, there's also a code for that. You know, you're starring there as well, I understand.
I don't know if I'm starring. I've been very proud to say I've been asked to be on an Ask the Experts panel every day at 1:30 during the show. This is the big NEC show in October, which I find very humbling. And a great honour. So I'll be there. We'll be filming content throughout the week. Go and see us as well. We've got a stand at the entrance to Hall 9. But again, if you've not bought your ticket, I would advise you to do it ASAP. Last year, several days of the show sold out. I'm sure that will happen again. If you use the code MMATT, then you get to save a few pence off your tickets again. Go to mcshow.co.uk, enter the code MMATT and save a few pence off your ticket. I went there this morning and checked it was working, and it does.
Well, hey, and you know how many invites I've had at the big show to come along and give talks?
None.
And that's it.
What would you talk about?
Oh, all sorts of things. humongifying my...
How you held Jimi Hendrix pants all those years ago.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, you wore them.
That wasn't me. No.
I'm sure you've got some rock and roll story you could share.
I probably have, but it isn't that one.
Yeah.
And like I said, humongifying motorhomes. That's what we did, isn't it?
Humongifying.
Yeah, humongifying them. Yeah.
Homologating.
That's the one. Yeah.
That was last week.
Yeah.
Go back and listen.
Yeah. It is the Motorhome Matt podcast brought to you with thatleisureShop.com. Let's have our very favourite, well, your favourite product of the week. Ta-da!
This is more than a week favourite, I'd say. Right, you ready for this? I'm getting this from under
ready.
the desk.
Are you getting it out?
Right, it's a tin of Fab Seal.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's not it. No.
You're going to drink it.
Don't drink that, for goodness sake. This will waterproof your tent, dead handy, but it's metal. This is my favourite product, this little light. Ready? Look at that.
He has got a little light which he has magnified onto the tin, and it is now flashing.
It's a flashing beacon.
Yeah,
so you're listening. It's a bright orange beacon. This is a V16 Beacon. Are you back in the room?
Oh, hang on. I'm back. Yeah.
So I'll describe it. This little beacon sits in the palm of your hand. It's a V16 beacon. This is replacing the warning triangle in Spain from the 1st of January 2026. You legally have to have one of these if you're going to Spain. The rest of Europe and the UK are still accepting the warning triangle. At the moment, the beacon is a legally accepted alternative, but it will become law. The best bit about it is if you're in a car, so in a motorhome this doesn't really work because it's made of plastic, but if you're in a car you don't have to get out of the car to display it. You simply put it out your windscreen and pop it on the roof and it will start flashing white. The second time you apply it, actually, if I do this a second time, look, it turns into a torch.
Oh, that's very good.
It's a bright white light.
Continuous white. So it goes from orange flashing to continuous white.
Yeah, and if you're in a motorhome, which of course you can't do that because it's a plastic body, there's a switch. You just twist it and it turns on like so. I can just turn it on manually and then place it behind the motorhome, or I can place it back up the road where I would have put the warning triangle. So Keith, how many metres behind your car should you place a warning triangle?
100.
Nope, 45. Minimum. They are, it's in the highway code.
So if I put it at 100, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, well, it's meant to be 45 metres.
Just a longer walk back to the car.
Well, and that's the reason the law's been changed, because there are lots of reports of people getting killed putting their warning triangle out, and they don't even get to safety. So these are an ideal replacement for that, and I think they're brilliant. All the team here have got one in their car. My kids have got them in their car. I might even give you one, Keith, for your glove box.
I was just going to say, I'm the only one who hasn't got one. You know what you're trying to tell me.
Do you know what? Driving back from Suffolk, when we were on holiday, we actually were on a smart motorway and we saw someone. I was coming up behind a car on my left. I was in lane 2 and it was I think it was a Hyundai, and it broke down. She was coming to a stop. It was a young lady driving it and she was obviously having a problem. It was stuttering and it came to a halt behind me, and I looked in my mirror and there was a car powering up behind her, which I saw suddenly brake and change lane. What was most interesting is 100 yards in front of us were those overhead signs on the gangway. They did not go to a red X on lane 1, despite the fact that those sensors should have picked her up and then closed the lane instantly. It didn't happen. Imagine if she decided to get out and put a warning triangle behind the car, which interestingly, as per the highway code, rule 286, you shouldn't put a warning triangle behind your car on a motorway, because A, it's dangerous and it can blow into the oncoming carriage or the passing vehicles and cause an obstruction for them. She could have done with one of these and just leant out of the window and popped it on the roof along with her hazard lights. But it was lethal and there was no protection for her. We had to carry on, because there was nowhere for us to pull over or anything. And we actually saw that smart motorway risk in action. They are so dangerous, so dangerous.
So how much does this little dingbat cost you?
20 odd quid. Cheap. Go and get one.
What's it called again?
A V16 Beacon. Now, the V16 bit means that it's flashing the right colour orange. It's got an auto trigger switch inside, which is, when connected to metal, the magnet switch applies, and it can be seen from a kilometre away at night. That's the key.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
And today's episode is all about breakdown in Europe and the UK with RAC arrival. We've had the AA on, now we're going to have the RAC on. And if you've been listening some of our past podcasts, you'll know that Motorhome Matt, he is a bit of a customer of the RAC, for good or for bad. So tell us a little about what we're going to be talking about today then, Matt.
Yeah, so if you listen and follow the podcast, you'll know that I broke down in an Alfa Romeo standard, and had a bit of a long wait for recovery, 15 and a half hours, which was all very unfortunate. The RAC have sorted that with us since, and I've been recompensed for that. We also, though, our breakdown cover for our motorhome hire business is also with the RAC. Now, we're covering 30-odd motorhomes, so the chances of a breakdown are much higher. And we did, unfortunately, have a motorhome breakdown the other week. It was actually being driven by the BBC Two Digging for Britain presenter, the lovely Alice Roberts. Wind back a few episodes and I interview her about working in a motorhome. It was a Ford Transit-based motorhome, and one of the diesel injectors had failed. I made the phone call to the RAC and took a deep breath and thought, right, let's see what happens. 2 minutes later, I had a phone call and said, "Hi, I'm Carl. I'm the patrolman from the RAC. Just seen your job. I'm on my way." I couldn't believe it. I said, "What? I've only just hung up on the call centre." He said, "Oh, it's just appeared on my screen. I'm actually only 12 minutes away from you." I said, "Well, I'm not actually there. It's a lone lady. She's in a fuel station." And he said, "Well, I reckon I'll be there in 12 minutes." And sure enough, he was. Within half an hour, Alice knew what was wrong with the motorhome, so did I. And we then could come up with a plan on getting her in another one. And Carl had already spoken to the fuel station manager and cleared that it was okay to park the motorhome there overnight and have it relayed tomorrow if that's what I chose to do. He then gave me the choice. He said, "I can relay it this evening." This was about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. And I said, "Well, actually, that would be more convenient for us if you could get it to us tomorrow." And he said, "Great." He said, "We'll do that. So in the morning, it will be relayed to you, get a phone call." So within an hour and a half of Alice making the phone call, we were there with her. Thankfully, it was only in Newport, so not very far away, with another motorhome. She was on her way, ready to the next campsite and the next dig site where they were filming the next day. And the following morning, our motorhome arrived back. Brilliant phone calls, communication, absolutely flawless service. I mean, I couldn't fault it at all. A polemic experience to my previous one, which was interestingly followed the following day by a phone call from the CEO of the RAC, a lovely chap called Paul Coward. And I have no idea why the CEO of the RAC rang me. And he said, "Were you offered a repair service at the side of the motorway in this fuel station?" I said, "No, it was relayed back to us." I said, "I didn't know you could repair an injector. That's quite a big job." He said, "Yeah, we have a mobile repair service and they'll come out, a separate team, and fix it at the side of the road. You pay for it, obviously, but you weren't offered that. So I'd like to make sure you are offered that." And the patrolman had said, "Well, these guys got a garage, we'll take it there, we'll relay it tomorrow." So I said, "Well, actually," I said, it's it does need repairing. Would you come and have a look at it?" I'd be happy to. £55. This is a brand new service from the RAC. They duly came, and unfortunately, the injector was frozen in. It rusted in place. Standard Ford Transit fault to this. And they said, "Look, we can't get it out. It needs really to go into a garage." No charge. No charge at all. Put all the motorhome back together so we could drive it to the garage, which it would do very slowly, and no charge at all. Fantastic service. The guys that came, the mechanics that came, were really, really helpful, really lovely, and very passionate. And so it's a brand new service from the RAC. And I said to Paul, "Look, we would love to get you on the podcast. We did invite you before repeatedly when I had this awful experience of the service, and you declined. Your PR team refused to." And so Paul very kindly has offered to come on. Not himself, but he's got one of his PR and comms team to come on. A chap called Simon. Well, I'm here on my own. There's no RAC. I'm afraid they haven't been able to make it to our interview today. Simon did send me an email, though, that said, "I'm very sorry, but for various reasons, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do this. Apologies, Simon." So I went back to Paul Coward, and he is the CEO of RAC Servicing, Maintenance and Repair, and not our breakdown or insurance business, was Paul's comment in his email. Thanks, Paul. Noted. We did ask him some questions. It was the same questions that we asked of the AA and another breakdown service via Caravan Guard. And Paul was kind enough to come back with some answers. So the best I can offer you is to read the replies via his email to the questions we posed. I started by asking him, are the number of call-outs for breakdown assistance increasing? He said, older cars break down more. The UK vehicle fleet continues to get older, meaning more members rely on our services. This, combined with the cost of living crisis squeezing household budgets, means people are not maintaining their cars as well as they've done previously. As a result, we are expecting our busiest ever year for breakdowns at circa 2.5 million. A new service from the RAC is a nationwide team of mobile mechanics that can service your car, either internal combustion or electric vehicle, on your driveway, reducing the cost and hassle of taking your car to the garage. I went on to ask, what percentage of call-outs do you receive that should be resolved by other means? We fix 4 out of 5 breakdowns, 80%, on the spot in about half an hour, which means we only have to recover a fifth to a garage for repair, which we do by a combination of our patrols, using their rapid deployment towing system in the back of every van, or a recovery truck. When a permanent repair is needed post-breakdown, we can take the car to an RAC approved garage or can send an RAC mobile mechanic, often next day, if the parts are available to repair the car. I went on to ask, breakdown recovery times seem to vary across the country. Is this true? We roster our patrols to match where and when breakdowns happen, depending on traffic and exact location and time of day, or the time it takes for one of our patrols to get to you will vary. In the summer, this involves relocating patrols to where the breakdowns are. We have many who move to coastal areas for several weeks to take account of people's holidays. And finally, I asked Paul, what is the biggest challenge your organisation is facing at this time? He said, the ability to move broken down EVs, which often lock all 4 wheels and become a 2-ton plus immovable object, is a significant challenge which is only set to increase as more EVs come onto our roads. Instead of sending a truck with a crane, we have developed 2 solutions to cope with the issue. RAC EV Boost allows us to charge a flat or severely depleted EV from a lightweight onboard charger in our vans. This was developed for us by a UK company, and we are the only breakdown company that has it. It avoids having to carry large batteries around, which then have to be recharged before using again. We have also adapted the rapid deployment towing system fitted to every RAC van so we can recover EVs and other cars with all 4 wheels off the road instead of just 2. It's like having a flatbed in the back of an RAC van. And Paul was kind enough to give us a URL where you can find out more, which was www.rac.co.uk/innovation. So Paul, CEO of the Service Maintenance and Repair Team, or SMRT, at the RAC, and to Simon from the comms team at the RAC, there is a seat here for you. We would love to have you on the podcast in person. The door is open. The invitation is still there. We would love to talk to you some more about this new service from the RAC and also RAC Arrival, which is a motorhome caravan specific product. A huge percentage of our listeners will be RAC Arrival members, and I know a huge percentage more would love to know more about it. So if you're listening, RAC, the invitation is there. We'd love to have you on, maybe next time.
Okay then, Matt, so we've talked to the AA, we've talked to the RAC, green flag still to go. When are they coming on?
Let's see, I know a lot of people do use green flag for their motorhome cover. I'm not familiar with any of the specifics of their cover for motorhomes. I know with RAC Arrival, as we talked about, it covers vehicles over 7 metres, and the RAC are happy to do that. My own cover covers me whether I'm on 4 wheels or 2, and whatever length. It's fantastic. That's my RAC Arrival cover. So yeah, green flag, if you're listening, don't miss out. If you're very welcome to come on and talk to us about the same challenges that maybe you're facing. We'd love to know.
Especially if you've got something special for motorhomers.
Yeah, that we'd definitely love to know about that, certainly.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. I say it every week. I'm going to say it again. My favourite bit of the whole podcast where you get in touch and ask us the questions. First of all, Sarah Louise Smithhurst has been in touch.
Hi Matt, hi Keith. This is Sarah in Playvan, central Brittany in France. Just wondering if you have any news on the LPG, or as it's known here, GPL, filling stations to top up your gas bottles. We have the plumbed-in refillable gas bottles in the van, and we've seen a few signs that we're wondering if it's now illegal on some of the forecourts. And the GPL-C, which is with a carburet, is that potentially a problem? Anyway, any advice would be great. Love the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah Louise Smithhurst in Brittany. Hoi, hoi, ho.
You did it. Stop it. I said don't do that.
Hoi, 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 ho.
Oh,
LPG.
Or GPL.
As it's known in France.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So illegal. No, I'm not aware of that at all. That's news to me. I think there's an issue here which a lot of people who've been to France will be familiar with, which is actually that the gas you're buying is for propulsion, so powering your engine, whereas actually you're buying it to cook with, and they have different VAT ratings, and the garages don't like it. So if they see that you're putting gas into a refillable bottle, they will know that you're planning to cook up your sausages on it, and they will decline you service. It seems that the smaller rural garages that dispense LPG, as we call it, just turn a blind eye to this, but I think that might be the reason. As for it being illegal, no, I'm happy to be corrected here. I've not been to France in a motorhome this year, so not had the first-hand experience of anything changing, but certainly, yes, I've been declined refilling gas. In fact, it wasn't far from you, it was outside of Brittany. And I was told no gas, simply because it was in the back of the van. Obviously, that is exactly how he said it. Maddie's looking at me very, very oddly.
What did they say?
No gas.
No gas.
No gas, as we said.
No gasseurs. No gasseurs.
No gasseur. Anyway.
What do they say in Spain? You know what they say in Spain?
No.
Bugger off.
I can imagine. But what's it like in Spain? I've never had a problem putting gas in the van for cooking at a fuel station. So, yeah, Sarah, it's hard to answer the question specifically. Maybe you're listening and you know this answer. Maybe you've had the same experience. You're trying to put in GLP-C, so it's got carburet in, which makes no difference to your cooking gas. It's just an additive which helps it in the engine somehow, something clever. And maybe you've been refused. I don't know. But anyway, that's my experience, and that might be why the VAT rating is different.
Michael Palin, no, not that one, is in Crewe. He says, I have a motorhome with a macerator toilet. Nice.
Here we go again, toilets.
Chopping it up. It macerates before it goes into the waste tank. I use no chemicals, so it's basically the same waste as you would have at home. Oh. I have the option of dumping it straight out of the bottom over any drain or using a waste buggy. I also have the option of pumping my grey water through my black tank to flush out. I can have up to 250 litres of waste in total. Is it acceptable to put this waste into the grey waste grid, or should I fill the chemical waste tank? Thanks, says Michael Palin in Crewe.
In Poo. Michael, please, let me stop you there. Do not empty your black waste into your grey tank, or not, you're not suggesting that, but into a grey drain. Please don't. No is the answer. Definitely don't do it. It is human waste. I don't care whether it's been sliced and diced. Don't put it down a drain. It needs to go down a sewer.
No gas.
No gas. No pool. Don't. The answer is no. Is that categorically enough? You must be in an American RV, because 250 litres of poo and wee is an awful lot of waste. I'm guessing it's an American motorhome or some big European thing. I'd love to know what it is, actually. Anyway, the fact you can flush your grey tank through your black tank.
What's a grey tank and a black tank? Can you just explain them to me?
The black tank is your poo and wee. comes out your bum, and the grey tank is the wastewater. You've spat in it because you cleaned your teeth with it, or you've washed up with it. It's called grey water. Now, that is meant to go down a waste disposal point into the sewer. Arguably, here we go, let's get some comments. You can empty that into a rain drain, but that just goes into the rivers, right? And that's got soap in it, you've spat in it, it's got toothpaste in it. There's lots and lots of debate about where you should empty your grey waste. If you can empty it down a drain that goes into a sewer, I'd say that would be preferable.
Well, in your home, it goes into the sewer.
In your home, it goes into the sewer.
So
correct.
just stick to that rule.
Well,
surely.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Does it?
Yes.
Because where Wessex Water, who live by us, I know for a fact, well, it goes in a sewer, and then it ends up in the Severn Estuary.
Yeah, well, that's another thing entirely.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
So, and that's, arguably then, for Michael, you say, well, it's going to end up in the river anyway, so I might as well just dump it at the side of the river. Well, you're going to get in big trouble if you do that. So please don't. There is a chance that the water board will treat it responsibly and will treat it and put it through a sewage or recycling plant ready for us to drink again. That's what happens. But please, no. The answer is no. Do not empty it onto the side of the road. And with your grey water as well, I mean, I have to admit, and I will confess, we have been emptying our grey water into the grass on a campsite as we leave, or into a rain drain at the side of the road for years, and I always consider that acceptable. I have to say now I make an effort to empty the grey water into a sewer as well. If a campsite's got an emptying point, I will always use that. It's normally a big concrete area you drive over, and it's sort of sloped into a drain, and I assume that goes into the main sewer, and that's where I always choose to empty it. But I have been guilty of emptying into a rain drain, and I've been corrected on this. So if that's you, be corrected as well, because it ends up in the river.
Thanks, Michael Palin from Poo Crew. You could always have a word with your friend John Pease from Weston-super-Mare. Please. John Cleese.
John Cleese?
Yeah, from Weston-super-Mare. Did you know
they're
he was
old
from
friends.
Weston-super-Mare?
I did know he was from Weston-super-Mare.
He is. Simon's in Liverpool. Hi, Matt. For your upcoming podcast on van life, see if you can get hold of Tanya and Adam from Jits Into the Sunset. They are by far the best van lifer YouTubers. No, Simon, no. Second best, my friend. Second best. Watch their stuff on YouTube, he says. Hopefully you can get them on. Cheers.
I love Tanya and Adam. I've actually been following their podcast since they first started. They took a break from it for a while. They live in a van called Jits, and their podcast is called Jits Into the Sunset. It is really good. They are filmmakers, and their content's brilliant. They've been off backpacking and hiking for a while. So they're back now recording new content. So yes, we will try and get them on. And you say we're the best van life for YouTube. Are we van life? Am I van life?
I don't know. You're the expert. You tell me.
Well, that's the question we're posing to a whole load of van life festival organisers, and some YouTubers and people who would say they are van life. What is it? Who is it for? Stay tuned. That episode is coming very soon.
Thanks, Simon in Liverpool, otherwise known as Tanya and Adam from Jits Into the Sunset.
You reckon he is them?
Yeah. How do people get in touch with us then, Matt?
Really easily. Just go to motorhomematt.co.uk/ask Matt. You can record your question or contribution on the orange button. We love to hear your voice and know where you are recording it. And I mean which city, not which room of the house. Or if you prefer not to hear your own voice, then you can fill in the form and submit your question that way.
And if you're a business or involved in the motorhome caravanning or camping industry, we are always looking for sponsors. We want you to talk directly to our fabulously loyal and brilliant and intelligent listeners. So sponsorship is always available. Now, if people listen on Apple and Spotify, what should they do? Please
leave us a review. There are 2 places there that you can leave a 5-star review. It really helps spread the awareness of the podcast. So if you're listening on Apple or on Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. We would be genuinely very grateful.
And if you've got any friends, share the Motorhome Matt podcast with your friends. It always helps, doesn't it, Matt?
It does, yeah. If you think that you know somebody who might find this content useful, you never know. There might be the odd piece of information in it. We're told that it is really helpful and has influenced people in spending 6 figures, as in over £100,000, which I find quite a responsibility. But if you know someone that you think might find it useful, please share it with them. Help us spread the word of the podcast and raise the awareness.